I've been wanting to shoot this video for a while, but I was a little concerned about offending people because I'm using some religious terminology and talking about Jesus. I'm not a Christian, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I want to tell you a story, a story about the word Christ that impacted me very strongly when I was in my early 30s, probably. At that time, I lived in Atlanta, and I was attending Unity North. Some people may know Unity North Church, so Unity Church. And Unity was very non-denominational, just inspirational, at least in Atlanta. And there was never a time that I, as someone raised Jewish, although much more eclectic in my religious and spiritual beliefs than just Judaism, especially as years went on. Really, I didn't, well, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so I liked Unity because it was non-denominational and inspirational, and I never felt out of place in church there, even though I was not raised Christian or Catholic or anything like that. I was definitely raised Jewish, although not very religiously. Anyway, one Sunday at Unity Church, the minister asked us to turn to the person behind us and look them in the eye and say, "I see the Christ in you. I see the Christ in you." And I did it, but I felt so uncomfortable. And I said, you know what? I don't know that I want to go back to Unity anymore, because now suddenly I've been made to feel uncomfortable because I don't believe in Jesus the Christ. And after many discussions with my friends who also attended Unity and had very eclectic and broad spiritual beliefs, I came to understand this term in a different way, a way that actually resonated with me. So again, I was raised Jewish, but very eclectic spiritually. I primarily leaned towards ancient wisdom, metaphysics, and all the woo-woo stuff. Back in those days, that was the New Age movement and all of that. So, but I still had this ingrained way of seeing the world, or maybe not seeing the world, but just ingrained in me, I was Jewish. And from my perspective, Jesus, and again, without being disrespectful to anyone watching who is Christian, Catholic, any religion that believes in Jesus as the Son of God, I just didn't consider Jesus the Son of God. Jesus was talked about in my household, but always as a Jew who had a very different perspective. My mother used to always say Jesus was the first Reformed Jew because he had a different perspective on the religion. His teachings were I was never told his teachings were invalid, but that was where we came from, right? So, I saw him as not the Son of God, but as a man, a Jewish man who had a different perspective on his religion and was enormously spiritual. A matter of fact, he was someone who had reached the height of spirituality and connection to God, or with God. But I understand now that the word, the saying "Christ in you" was actually something written by the Apostle Paul, and is said by Christians to literally mean that Jesus is alive and his spirit lives and dwells in his followers. Now, many people talk about Christ consciousness, which is seen as the ultimate spiritual level of consciousness, which was embodied by Jesus during his time here on earth. Now, I get that, and I definitely believe that he was a role model of Christ consciousness, this ultimate spiritual level of consciousness. The other thing I came to understand was that the word Christ is a title, not originally a name, but a title derived from the Greek word Christos, which translated, actually, the word Christos translates the Hebrew word Mashiach, which means Messiah, which means the anointed one. Now, without getting into all kinds of religious muddy waters about, what that means, that he was the anointed one and the Messiah and all of this, Son of God, I just don't want to go there. Okay, that was not my intention with this video. What I would like to talk about is the fact that we all have within us the ability to have Christ consciousness, to be Christed. Jesus taught self-empowerment and the ability to have direct connection with Source. He taught that we as humans are divine and have the power to create miracles, and that whatever he did, this we can do and more. So that's what I learned from this experience at Unity Church, was that this didn't have to be a Christian term. It could be a term about Christ consciousness, about reaching the highest level of spirituality and of looking at another person and seeing that that person embodies the possibility of reaching that level of spirituality, seeing that they are divine, that they are spiritual beings having a human experience, and as such, that they are connected to the divine and that they are creators. I go back to this experience of having to say to this person behind me, I see the Christ in you, and it just reinforces to me, when I think about it, the potential for all of us to align with our own Christ consciousness, to embrace ourselves as sparks of divine consciousness, and to see ourselves as divine, powerful, worthy, and deserving, limitless beings who are creators in our own right, because we are connected. We are always connected. We forget that we're connected, and I believe that, and I think from the Jewish mystical perspective, I study Kabbalah. I'm no expert, but my understanding is that the Jewish mystics were no different than most other ancient wisdom traditions or spiritual traditions who taught that we come here and we forget who we are and that we are divine beings. But the Kabbalists also said that God is a giver and that we are the receivers. But when we give, we actually connect with God. We get closer to God, that there is no separation between us ever. And the more we act like God, the more we are divine, we express our divine nature. And I see the word Christ as embodying that when we are givers like God, when we behave in that way, and when we tap into our direct connection with God, which so many people do, from all traditions, plus there's the whole issue of guidance, which I talk about a lot. How are we guided? How do we connect to guidance? Well, that's our divine connection, and so I think I've gone off a little bit on a tangent, but I wanted to tell this story and to basically stress the fact that we all have this potential. When you look at someone and say, I see the Christ in you, it doesn't have to be religious. I had to learn that. It doesn't have to be religious. It can definitely be just you seeing that the other person is a soul just like you. Somebody was telling me today, one of my members in my Inspired Creator community, that she was in a store and there was somebody serving her, or when she was paying at the checkout, who was a little testy, and she just reminded herself that she was a soul, that she's a spiritual being having a human experience, and it diffused everything for her. And I think that if we can remember that we are spiritual beings having this human experience, and that we are always connected to the divine, and we all have the ability to move ourselves, our consciousness higher, and to realize our spiritual potential, then I think the world would be a better place, because we would stop looking at all the faults in people and we would see who they really are. And I guess that's how I would end this video, is that that's what happens is when we can see the Christ in someone, when we see their spiritual potential, when we see that they are a soul housed in a body, we see them differently, and we change the experience we have of them, and we connect at a different level, and we remind ourselves of who we are at the same time. So I try to remember, shooting this video and having this conversation with this client of mine, this member of the Inspired Creator community, reminded me that I had intended to do this video, and that's how I want to train myself to show up in the world, as with the highest level of consciousness I can, with a recollection that I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and so is everyone else, and everyone around me, everyone I encounter has the same potential to raise their consciousness and connect with the divine and show up here as a soul, a divine being creating what it is that they want. And the more we can remember that, the better our experience will be, the better the world will be. So I'll leave you with that. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody. I would love to hear your comments, though, and your thoughts. You can leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this, whether you think I'm off base or whether you agree with me. Let's have a discussion. I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I am a high performance coach and an inspired results coach and an author coach. And yes, I'm the founder of the Inspired Creator community. The link is above. I love helping people get from where they are to where they want to go, and without getting in their own way. It's my passion to help them step into their best self, to realize they are a spiritual being having a human experience, and to help them realize their potential and raise their consciousness and step into that identity so that they can be divine creators as well, that they can use their spiritual aspect to create what they want in the world. So if that's of interest to you, reach out to me or check out the Inspired Creator community. You can find me at ninaamir.com if you want to email me or anything like that. Or check out my blog, as well as my videos on YouTube. So that's it for today. Interesting topic, and like I said, happy to discuss. But whatever you think or feel, I always hope for the best for you, and I hope that you go out and you achieve more inspired results, which means to be in spirit, to express your soul, and to be the creator you are. And that's how you get those inspired results. So until next time, go out there and achieve more inspired results.